This is the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards. On this episode of the MQP, it is Nikolai. And there she is, the lead vocalist for the band Closure, which was founded by lead guitarist Michael Cordell following his service in the U.S. Army back in
Mhm.
2012. Nikolai has been with the band since 2023.
Mhm.
Last year, they had a busy year. They released a bunch of singles with this new lineup: The Devil Effect, Nevermore, Criminal Mind. Check out all the videos on YouTube. And I gotta say, we're gonna talk about this impressive cover of Bring Me to Life from Evanescence featuring Joshua Roberts, the frontman from Magnolia Park. Awesome cover. Check that out too, and we'll talk about that. So a lot of singles last year, and they also shared the stage with Tantric, Sponge, Powerman 5000, Saliva, Drowning Pool, and Fozzy 2. They are from
Ah,
Enterprise, Alabama. And I'm
yeah,
happy to have Nikolai, the new lead vocalist, still can say new because it's been almost 2 years, on
almost.
here on the Metal Queens podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So, and they have a new single out too. It is
Yes,
called
relapse.
Relapse. The official
Hmm.
video just came out, and lyric video is up on YouTube as well. All right, Nikolai, I want to start with your background. Where are you from, and then how did you get involved with this band?
I born in New York, live in Orlando, Florida. Honestly, this band was an interesting coming up story. I was in one band prior that I took seriously, and unfortunately, with time, a lot of things happened, and we didn't see eye to eye, and they felt like they needed to move forward. So we departed, and I was about to quit music until our old management or Closure's old management found me doing like a little like cover video of I think it was a Paramore song, if I'm not mistaken, Decode. And Closure has existed since 2012, which is 100% accurate, but the the image and who fronted the band has been extremely polar opposite than what I am. So they were very southern rock. I mean, kind of Breaking Benjamin-y, 3 Days Grace rock style. And ironically, every singer that they've had before me was also all bald and all had beards. So to transition into a more sexier, stronger gothic vibe and a female with big boobs and long, crazy hair is completely polar opposite. But I met them for the very first time in September 2023. Late September 2023, and by October we had our lineup, which was with me in addition also with Zach, our new bassist. And by November we were recording new music, and February was our first single release in 2024. So it was very fast, and oddly enough, I think it was just one of those things where the universe brought all of us together and the cards like aligned or the stars aligned. And Closure was fully aware of our bassist Zach beforehand because they went on a tour and he was one of the opening bands for them. And I I guess I met Zach once prior. I was playing Louder Than Life with my old band, and he was ironically an onlooker from the crowd watching and seeing me perform. So when we all met, I knew their old management team. I've heard of them somewhat because Florida and Alabama is so close. And Zach's even seen me perform with the old band, and just, I don't know, someone connected us. And then we managed to just like click almost instantaneously. And literally within a month of knowing my band, we had 4 singles and we were off to Nashville to record. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
you knew right away the first time you played with them that there was something.
Um, yes and no. It's so strange because I wish I could say that I had more experience in the music industry. Um, I was kind of nurtured into like who I've become now from the band that I'm with. But previously to like my other acts, we were just like a wing it. I was just a wing it kind of person. So I've never really known to walk into a room and like be able to like look at a drummer or look at a guitarist and be like, I can work with that. It was always just kind of like an emotional aspect for me. And when I got ironically kicked out of my old band, and it wasn't necessarily like a fully amicable split, but a lot of things happened. My father passed. a lot of band members were going through their own things, and I don't think I was 30% of the person that I am now, especially then when I was going through all that loss. And when I met Closure, I was very apprehensive because I was already once in a band with nothing but men. And it was similar in the aspect that everybody was older than me and I was the youngest and the only girl.
Mhm.
And I think I definitely had like a barricade around me. So I met up with them and then I ended up meeting up with like one or two other bands. But I did notice that one thing was like absolutely instantaneous was when I wrote the song, The Devil Effect. And it was a play on words because the title, if anybody knows me in my personal lore, The Devil Effect has a play on words for the title. And um, the way Mike wrote it and gave me like um, just full access to write whatever I want lyrically wise. And the way me and my guitarist Matt like synced up so quick where he couldn't even play a guitar part unless I was literally facing him and patting on my knee. It just was one of those instantaneous things. I think it just needed me to be talking to them a couple times for me to be able to trust the aspect of like emotionally opening up and becoming a songwriter and a singer again. And now looking back at it, it was freakishly obvious, but it took me a year and a half of being supported by bandmates and going on tours and getting to know these guys like my family for me to be like, wow, I'm such a fucking idiot. I should have just jumped on like the moment I met them. But it took me about like 2 or 3 weeks to talk to them after seeing them in person to really be like, okay, I'm in, guys. But it was kind of a little bit. I mean, 2, 3 weeks is really nothing in the spectrum of things, I guess.
Nikolai, was music big in your house growing up, and what were and who were some of your influences?
Um, yes and no. So, being Albanian, we're very big on community. And we have these things where we'll fly out Albanian artists to come and do shows, all the way from New York to Florida, so we can, be close to our country and close to like the musicians and whatnot. So I've been to like Albanian concerts with my mom and dad, but other than that, I've had two older brothers that are 17 and 18 years older than me. And I think they're the ones that kind of got me into music. My brother Alex was obsessed with Nirvana
Hmm.
and kind of, opened up to me about how when Kurt Cobain died, he took it so personally. And my brother John was crazy big into music. I mean, I would have like crazy metal bands on tour sneak into the house and he would like allow them to sleep in our living room because they didn't have tour buses and I'd be 7 years old, like asking them why they have so many drawings that won't wash off their arms. So it was weird. It wasn't like a family or a household where my mom was playing music to cook or like my dad knew much music, but my dad loved Bon Jovi and he loved the Bee Gees and he would know 4 or 5 songs extremely well. And then he didn't know anything else. But my brothers, I think, got me into it. One thing I will say though is I danced since I was little. And I think the love of music and dancing to music, and then that transcended into choir and theater. I didn't realize I loved music in a singer way or like a concert way until I was like 18 and I started going to like my festivals and concerts. And then I was like, oh my God, it like makes sense. But I think my brothers more than anything.
Let's talk about songwriting. Were you
Mm.
always a good songwriter? Did you like to write songs?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think I'm a crappy songwriter now.
Mm.
um, so I was never really into music. I was really good in literature,
Yeah.
and I was in like all the AP and honors courses for school. So I think I had a decent grasp on how to express myself. But songwriting and like writing a poem or being well spoken is so much more complex in the aspect that you don't ever want to be too literal with your lyrics because then it's going to be very hard for the listener to be able to apply their personal life experiences to it, and obviously then you have to like fit a metronome, fit a rhythm, fit how many measures are actually in the bar before you're being too speaky and this and that. So it's very it's very complicated, and so I think I'm okay now, but I would, of course, never be down, or I would never be opposed to taking a couple more songwriting classes. And I actually just recently took a college course just to get back in there and learn music because I love Edgar Allan Poe. That's why I wrote Nevermore the way I did. And I really love like vampy novels and books and stuff, and so that probably spills a little bit into like, the devil effect and whatnot. But I've been trying to challenge myself to write a little bit more catchy and maybe get a little bit on the more simpler side, so I'm not taking too long song for song, because I am extremely hypercritical of myself when it comes to what the hell I'm releasing. But I think I've always been able to express myself. It's just been a learning process these last few years and learning how to write music, because I didn't write my first song until I was like 21, which was like 5, 6 years ago. So there's that.
What's the songwriting process like in the band? You do some of it. Is it Michael? It's just mainly the two of you, or is it a true collaboration among everyone in
Oh,
the band?
it's a true collaboration. So Michael and Matthew are two of the guitarists, and they typically will write the song out. And the other Michael McCann instead of Cordell, but Michael McCann, our drummer, he's the one that'll jump in, add his drums. Zach goes in and adds his bass. So a lot of the times when the song is presented towards me, it's like 80% done. I mean, there's obviously leeway if I need them to like, lengthen the bridge or give me one more measure in lyrics, like stuff like that will happen. And sometimes, I'll write a lyric and Cordell will go back in there and just completely change his lead guitars, because him and I really do play a lot on each other, which is another thing to go back on. If you would have heard Closure beforehand, before I ever joined, Cordell was a very strong and heavy lead guitarist and didn't really play on to the vocals as much. Versus now, I feel like me and Cordell are always kind of like weaving in and out of each other. And so that's definitely been the progression with the band. But yeah, for the most part, everyone writes their own parts. I do have a song called Walk in the Sun that Cordell actually wrote. And it existed before I ever joined the band. However, when I joined the band, I think I kind of gave it life, to the degree that he was more comfortable to actually perform it live. And that song gave me so much closure because, oh, the irony of that. It gave me so much closure because since losing my father, I really didn't know how to kind of put it into words. And it was like everything I really kind of needed to put into a song. And here's this guy randomly from Alabama going, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's everything I feel." But other than that, we all write our own parts and play our own parts. From time to time, I might ask Matt or Mike for some like lyric help, but we are very independent and like very on our own, I guess, in that sense, until we link up.
If you met somebody for the first time that had never heard of Closure, how would you describe the sound of the band to them?
I would say dark, heavy, gothic, hard rock with some bluesy undertones. Um, Lots of guitar solos, almost to like a classic realm, but vocals are very strong yet clean.
Hmm.
I guess is probably the best,
All right,
I
let's talk
think.
about the new single Relapse, new
Mm.
video out. What's the story behind this song?
So basically it's just learning to like let go and move on. I had a lot of friends. I've had family that have either had mental issues or drug abuse or relationship abuse, and I kind of wanted to write a song that was vaguely about, you know, s- getting over the whole addiction process. So for me, it was most definitely about a relationship where I feel like I kept falling back into really bad habits, and it was almost like that person was like my kryptonite or drug of choice. And I also wanted to do a lot of portrayal of drugs and a lot of portrayal of like almost psychosis, because it's crazy how when you're able to be by yourself and genuinely look at yourself in the mirror, you can either just not recognize yourself or realize, holy crap, I need to change. And a lot of the times you just need to be alone enough or still enough to realize like how crazy everything is around you. So Relapse is quite literally about a song for whatever you need it to be, whether that has to be relationship or drug abuse or alcoholism or even just like mental help. I wanted to portray that. Hence why the music video has a lot of imagery of either sexiness on a bed to like alcohol to like pills to like almost hallucinations. And I really wanted to portray the idea of like getting out of your own head and just like figuring it out.
What's been the response so far to the song and the video?
It's interesting. I don't necessarily regret getting so dark for the music video on YouTube, but I'm very sure that YouTube like throttled
Hmm.
that music video because of all the imagery. And it's so interesting to me because with rap music and pop music, everything is so hypersexualized and it has nothing to do with like self-realization or, moving forward and like bettering yourself. So here is a music video like admittedly talking about, how you need to get up and move on. And apparently you can put baby oil on a butt cheek and twerk it and that doesn't get throttled, but you make a very sexy, almost Deftonesy music video in the 2020s and now, they don't want to share it or spread the word, but I will say in person with like the fans and the people that genuinely matter, they love it. And I've seen it's interesting because the song itself is very dark, but there's a groove to it and like kind of like a sway. So when you are at the concerts, you will just subconsciously realizing that you're going left and right to the lyrics. So when you hear like the get out of my bed, I gotta sweat you out, like you'll see people sway. So I'm still proud of it and I don't regret directing that music video with Thomas Cranes the way we did because I think it genuinely gives a portrayal that I want it to have. If I would have shallowed it or watered it down, I don't think you would have realized how raw the lyrics are. So as long as the fans like, and I think as long as the bandmates and everything are happy with it, I'm cool. I wish it probably would have done better numbers wise, but that's definitely a YouTube thing. And
Yeah.
so it is what it is, I guess.
So you have this single out. So what's the
Mhm.
plan for the rest of the year? Got more singles coming?
We do, we do. So we got a couple more festivals. We have, I think, two more singles, maybe two more music videos, but I know for fact we have one music video. It's going to be interesting because with all of the content that we've released, a lot of it's just been kind of hard hitting rock or like bluesy ish rock. And there will be a ballad. And if everything goes well and correct, it'll be the song about like loss that I dedicate to my dad at every festival and tour. And so that's going to be very interesting because it will be very different, I think, than what everyone else has heard so far on our discography. And I'm kind of excited for that because you'll get to see like what Closure can really do other than just hard rock.
You mentioned festivals there a couple of
Yes.
times. Do you prefer festivals or the smaller, intimate club gigs?
Um, I don't know because I guess if I had to choose a preference, it doesn't have anything to do with the festival or the club. If it's a club that can only fit 75 people and 75 people are there and it's tight and you can literally feel like the energetic
Yeah.
friction from like fan to fan, I wouldn't care if it's a festival or a club as long as the crowd is somewhat filled and like the energy in the room has anticipation because they're there for the music. Because I have played at festivals where people are just kind of like staring at you and they don't know who they're watching, they don't know what they're up to, and it just seems very like dead and still. And I've played clubs that are exactly the same way. So I don't think there's really a difference for me as the artist performing as long as the crowd is just like ready to jam out. I will say um the cool thing about festivals is you get to catch multiple artists. And so as like a fan myself, because I'm still going to concerts and I'm still supporting music and everything, you get to catch more artists, but there is something a little bit more personal with clubs where you actually have the chance to like get to talk to the band and like have a one-on-one. And especially when it's like the runs that we've done with Tantric and Sponge and Power Man, you're still filling up rooms. But they're not amphitheaters just quite yet, and you can actually talk to the artists. And I've had so many heart to heart moments. I've gotten gifts from fans and like deep conversations from fans because of the songs that we've written. And so I do try to emulate that a little bit at festivals. So we just played Rockfest, and the first thing that I did when we got off the stage is I literally told everyone, come to the table and take pictures with me.
Yeah.
So at the moment right now, I don't have a preference. I just think it all depends on how accepting and like open the audience is.
Yeah, that's got to be a great feeling as long as the gifts aren't crazy, but that you got gifts from, the crowd too, based on your songs.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have this beautiful necklace from a fan. They got the necklace from the bassist of Jekyll, and
Mhm.
I guess she was like a really big fan. Her brother was a really big fan of Jekyll, so when he passed, she thought it'd be cool for me to have the necklace. So whenever I go on tour, a remnant of him is still traveling all across the U.S., still doing music and still rock and rolling. So that was really cool. I mean, I've gotten fans that like know I always bitch and complain about. Oh, I hope I'm allowed to cuss.
You can guess,
Um,
yes.
so I always bitch and complain that like it's hard to find any fresh produce on the road because most of the time you're living off of bar foods and
Hmm.
gas stations. So I had another fan like literally bring me a bushel of apples because on the Devil Effect I literally had an apple in my hand in the music video.
Yes,
So it's
yeah,
really cool. It's awesome, and I don't even think I'm that thoughtful of a person. I'm a songwriter, so when you have those moments, you're like very humbled, and I see more of that at shows. So greedy wise, I'd probably say shows because like it's a little less work and you get more gifts and stuff. But the cool thing about festivals is I'm crazy and I don't care if I have an artist badge. I will walk the grounds and I will catch every band because when you see bands on the VIP side or like on the side stage,
yeah.
all of us are using in-ears nowadays. So you don't even get to hear the monitors really play the music.
Hmm.
So it's like this weird split, the stage itself is silent and then there's like the loudness from like outside speakers and side stages are not as fun. VIPs, people are prudish and they don't even know how to get like shit faced and headbang. So I still go out in the crowd and hang out. And then there's a lot of times that I just become friends with the fans and they're like,
Yeah.
whoa. And I'm like, what's up, guys? But
Yeah, I did the same thing.
yeah.
I was all over as at incarceration this past weekend, and yeah, exactly how you're describing it, it is. And then when you get out there with everyone, it's totally different experience.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I think is like the pro of having an artist badge or like a VIP badge is like the air conditioned bathrooms because my God, I hate a urinal, but I think that, or not a urinal, but a porta potty. But that's because I wear like leather pants and I wear
Yeah,
probably the most uncomfortable clothes to go to a festival. So then it's like a bitch to
yeah,
like take something sticky off of me in like a tiny porta potty. But yeah, other than like the toilets and then the occasional like AC tented areas, I would rather be in the crowd. Like it just, you feel more energy.
yeah. But it's nice to escape it when it's hot as fuck. So, which it's
Exactly.
been everywhere this summer. So
Yeah.
there's no escape from the heat, but you're used to it in Florida.
Oh God, you have no idea.
We're talking about shows. So, any plans for some dates coming up here in the fall or late summer?
Yes, so August 31st through September 7th, we are playing a cruise. I believe it's the Margarita Rocks cruise with MSC. We got people like Scotty Austin, Jasmine Kane, and like a bunch of other bands. Um, and then I think after that we might take it a little easy. I don't know what we got post October and so on, but I know that for September to early October or August to early September, we have the cruise. And if anyone's interested, you can literally go on our Instagram or Facebook and just check our link tree. I mean, we're constantly updating that thing with shows and whatnot. I know we're playing Northwoods. That's going to be in August 14th through 16th or something like that. But that's all I know now.
All
My
right,
guitarists know more about dates than I do.
and more singles to come as well here the rest of
Yes.
the year. All right, we're going to wrap up with 5 questions for Nikolai. Your favorite
Yeah.
drink?
Celsius. I like literally like live on these things. I'm probably drinking like two or three a day. And if I could get sponsored, I freaking would.
Mhm. Favorite female vocalist of all time?
Oh, Lacey Stern from Flyleaf, off the rip.
I get a lot of
I don't even
Lacey
have to think
Strums.
about that one.
I thought you were going to say Amy Lee.
I love Amy Lee. And it's so weird because if I'm compared to two people, it's Amy Lee or Maria Brinks from In This Moment.
Yeah,
I think I dress a lot like the lead singer of In This Moment, and I think I emulate a lot of vocals from Evanescence. However, the reason I choose Lacey Sturm all the time is her lyrical composition. Um, I just think she's a phenomenal vocalist. I mean, she literally screams. She literally has a beautiful, amazing head voice. She has an amazing chest voice. And so I can sing an Evanescence song and I could probably get by with covering one or two in this moment songs. But when it comes to Flyleaf, I think I'd have to really, practice on it. And I still don't know how to scream. So to me, she's just kind of a person I look up to yet because I haven't been able to even get to where she's at as an artist. And she has some beautiful music. And I think everything that she's done with Flyleaf and everything she's done solo is beautiful because I'm not necessarily like a Christian band lover, but I like the idea that she's adamant about like who she is as a person and everything. And until I can do vocals like her, she's my favorite. And then I'm going to find the next person that I have to like, beat myself up on next.
That's funny you mentioned Maria really quick. Yeah, I just saw Maria a few days ago at
Hmm.
Incarceration, and I did,
Yeah.
as I was going through your videos, I heard a little bit of Maria, definitely.
Hmm.
So it's interesting you said that too.
Now, I did look up to both of them. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I just think the older I got, I was able to do a little bit more like grit and rasp that Maria does. And I learned a little bit how to use my stronger vibrato like Amy Lee. But other than falsetto, which I can kind of do like Lacey Sturm, it amazes me what she can do with her voice. So when I look at artists, I look at people that are extremely original. And I haven't found anybody that can quite emulate Lacey Sturm. And whenever they cover her music, it never sounds like her. Or I haven't heard anybody that came up like her. Like Serge from System of a Down is also my favorite vocalist male wise, but that's because no one sounds like Serge.
Yeah,
So I really do love originality when it comes to artists because they to me become like staple. In 20, 30 years, people will know her music. In 20, 30 years, people will still love System of a Down because until someone can recreate it better,
yeah,
that's them.
that's very true.
Yeah.
If you weren't in music, what would you be doing?
Hair and makeup. I'd be doing glam.
Favorite
Yeah.
curse word?
Fuck.
And the first concert you ever went to, who was it and where?
It's embarrassing to say. And there's a funny story with it. Celine Dion at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
All right.
Yeah.
I get some Britney Spears on here. I think I got one Celine already. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Celine Dion. I mean, I am obsessed with Titanic. Like legitimately obsessed where I'm starting to really wonder if I was like reincarnated and I was once a Titanic like passenger. Because I don't know where or why I have so much heartbreak or I even hear the piano ballad and I like lose my shit.
Mm.
But I was actually there, which is ironic, and thank God I never like went through with it. But I was at a Lou Pearlman competition. This is before he ever got caught robbing from NSYNC and doing sketchy things with child stars. So thank God for that, that I didn't go too far in that process. But I heard that Celine Dion was playing in Caesar's Palace. So I was begging my dad at the age of like 9 or 10 to see her. And I used to be such an avid stalker and fan that I knew who her security guards were. Like
Wow.
from paparazzis. Like this is when
Mm.
TMZ and you can go online and see paparazzi pictures of celebrities and everyone was like on it. And I managed to write a little note and tell them that like I was doing a competition where I was singing and dancing at, Lou Pearlman and that I hope she sings My Heart Will Go On from Titanic, even though she was really focusing on promoting her new album. And she finished the whole entire show and the performance, and she comes back out in a robe and they're pushing a baby grand piano, and she did My Heart Will Go On acoustic. And I was an idiot and I didn't put my name on the note, so she didn't know what name to reference me. But she said, there's a little girl in the audience that's here for a music competition, and I'm her first concert, and I'm dedicating the song to her. And I started bawling profusely,
Mm.
and I got to hear My Heart Will Go On from Celine Dion.
I'll tell you
I'm
right
it.
quick, the scene that always gets to me in that movie, if my mother's watching it or whatever, is when the
Yes.
camera is panning through the cabins and the old couple's embracing. That is the most heart-wrenching scene in that movie.
So
I
I
bet
don't
you.
know what's
One of the
worst.
most.
I don't know what's worst. I don't know if it's cute that I think they'd rather just die together or if I'm just sick because, like, when I watch that movie, the couples kill me. There's a
Yeah.
scene where the mother's putting her two kids to sleep,
Yeah.
and I'm like losing my mind.
Yeah.
I'm getting teary eyed thinking about it. But then there's a scene in the very ending where like Rose is in her dreams and she goes down the stairs and
Yep.
everybody around her is there and she sees Jack for a final time. And my heart is like literally screaming. But the toxic version of me, the version of me that wrote The Devil Effect and Nevermore, is so beyond fucking pissed that it pans out to these picture frames of her living her best life after like the love of her life is like frozen underneath the freaking ocean and
Yeah.
she's fine. I don't know why, but I wish she just would have died on the freaking boat with him because I feel like that's just so much more Romeo, Juliet, like dark Edgar Allan Poe romanticizing that like I'm into. So it's so weird because like the mother and the kids breaks my heart. The old couple, I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna be me one day. I don't know why I think that, but my sick self does. When the freaking camera gets out of that freaking dream scene and she's on a horse and she's got kids and a new marriage, I was genuinely freaking pissed. I don't, and it still pisses me off. And I'm not saying that you should drown in a boat with your lover and never try to live. But the toxic version of me is like, this is bullshit because Jack deserved better. But I digress. So
I
it's
never
okay.
thought on here I'd be talking about Titanic with Nikolai, but that was that's
I've
great.
gone to 3 Titanic museums just to really back up my obsession with Titanic. I've been to a Titanic museum, I think in like North Carolina or something. And then I went to 2 Titanic museums. One was like a traveling one in Florida. And then I have one here in Orlando. And I have gone and done their full tours with dinner visits and everything like twice now in the last
Oh,
like
that's
3 years.
great.
And I am not embarrassed. It
That's
is
great.
what it is.
All right. So, last two questions. The band name Closure. Where did that come from?
So originally, Cordell, it went through like a really bad divorce. And I think he fell into music because that was the only way for him to like express himself. So the band quite literally gave him closure. And then, now that everyone else has trickled in, like, McCann and Matt and Zach and I, we all kind of have different meanings. Zach went through some drama with like losing his father and, financial stuff and Matt too and me too. So it just kind of all means that like no matter what you go through, you're able to push forward, get some closure and keep on keeping on, I guess. So I think it's morphed into instead of it's done and over and the chapter's all done, it's more so like get closure and move on.
Yeah.
Because the band before any of us joined, I think closure was specifically just for that divorce. And inherently, we've all been going through some like really interesting times this year. Even just this band, this year has been a very interesting year. I mean, I went through a really bad car accident where I had to get like surgery on my arms, and I have like I'm covered in stitches, and I really thought that I wasn't gonna be able to hold a microphone again or do anything with my hand. And I got closure with the concept of the car accident, and I'm still going through court and whatnot. But I was able to like literally get on stage and feel whole.
Yeah.
So it's no longer just the end of the chapter, but it's more so accepting it for everything what happens, being whole and moving forward with like a new view on life. I think that's what it is for everybody now.
Yeah. And the final thing, because you absolutely fucking crushed this cover of Bring Me to Life, Evanescence. Why that song? How did that come about?
So I didn't originally want to do it just because the idea of covering Amy Lee is so beyond intimidating. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, she literally is one of the biggest female vocalists in the rock community. You say Amy Lee before Evanescence even started touring back again. It didn't matter. You knew who Evanescence and Amy Lee was. But my drummer and my guitarist Matt kept mentioning that a lot of fans noticed similarities between me and her, and I always loved Bring Me to Life, and I liked the idea that there was a male vocal in there because I've known Josh of Magnolia Park for years now. I mean, I'm from Orlando, his band's based in Orlando. So we kind of looked around to see if we were like legally allowed to cover it, and he was more than willing and down to do it. So it was nice because it's a childhood song of mine, and it's what like really got me into rock music. It allowed me and my brand new band to collaborate on something that I was familiar with. And I was able to record with a good best friend of mine, Josh. I was able to have my sound guy and engineer that I literally went to elementary school, Mikey. He literally is the one that recorded me and Josh. So it was cool because it was like my new life meets like my old life and then everything in between. But yeah, it was my drummer and a bunch of the fans would always mention like you could totally do an Amy Lee cover. I always
Mm.
get the concepts of I look like the In This Moment singer, but just if she wore all black and had black hair because Maria tends to wear white. So
Yes.
I'm the polar opposite of her. I'll wear like flowy things in black and corsets, and we both have big boobs and lots of hair. So people always say I'm like the yang to her. And then vocally, I've always gotten compared a lot to Amy Lee. So it was just one of those things where I was like, I guess we should just cover an Amy Lee song. And I was absolutely petrified because if people were going to make fun of me on any song, it would totally be like a very well-known song like this. And thankfully, we got a lot of like open arms. And our first time ever doing it live, because I was always scared to do it live on stage. Our first time doing it live was literally at this last rock fest, and it was really dope because our touring drummer did the vocals for it, but the crowd was singing the male part so loud that I couldn't even hear our touring drummer in the background doing the male rap. It was literally the crowd screaming the "Wake me up!" So I think we're probably just gonna start keeping it on set because it's just the easiest song to know,
Yeah.
and it's such like an iconic song. But yeah, it was lots of fans and lots of my bandmates telling me, buckle up and figure it the fuck out and don't be scared.
Well, check out that video, the cover of Bring Me to Life by Nikolai, and also check out all the videos by Clozure. It's Clozure,
Mhm.
officialclosure.com. You can get updates on touring. They have merch there too, and Official Closure on Instagram too. And the new single Relapse is out now. Nikolai, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And this is the Metal Queens podcast. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve Richards.